Georgie,
Hey, how's it going, Halen?
hi, wonderful. I'm so happy to be here and pepper you with more questions.
I am ready. Pepper me.
Pepper. All right, we're going to dive in. I've got two wonderful questions for you today. And we're going to start with what you and I may call the prescriptive approach. Uh, Often clients want to be told just what to do. Just tell me what to do. Give me all the guidelines and the rules, and I'll just do it. I'll just follow along, not have to think about it, make it easy for me. And then soon all my problems will be solved. In
I
your
think
mind,
I
why
think
is that not the best approach? What was that?
I think everybody who works in this industry has had that. Like, will you just tell me what to do? Just write a meal plan for me. And I get emails still from people that are like, "How much do you charge for a meal plan?" And I'm like, "Do you know what I do?" Clearly not.
The cold
Um,
mill. I'll write you a nice plan.
yeah, if it worked, I'd do it. Very simple. The reason that I don't write meal plans for people, and I think the reason that a lot of professionals don't write meal plans for people, is because that the chance of somebody executing a meal plan decrease as time goes on. So like
Mm.
they'll give it a fairly good shot, maybe even follow it to a T for 24, 48 hours. By day 3, they're switching some things about it because they don't like salmon and you put salmon on there. By day 4, they've decided they're tired of something that you've put in there too frequently. Like, when the meal plan doesn't fit somebody's exact food preferences, they're prone to change it because we're used to being able to eat what we want to. Um, Secondarily, the meal plan is inevitably an imperfect fit because it's frequently going to be too high energy or too low energy. In other words, not enough food or too much food. And I can't, I can estimate that reasonably well with a calculator and some equations. But day to day, we all have different energy expenditures, and our appetites are going to be higher or lower. So if somebody just has different workouts during the week and a rest day or two, the same meal plan may not work for the higher output day and the lower output day. I don't want somebody to be super hungry on certain days and then other days be eating more calories than they need. So that's why I like the appetite management approach. And so I'll usually, instead of meal plans, give people more of a what I call a flexible template. And so it doesn't exactly tell someone what to do, it still treats them like an adult. Like, you can choose what vegetable you want to put on your plate. What I'm going to do is hold you to the big picture, which is that we want to make sure we're getting fruits and veggies into our meals. So I give people the flexible template, which may look like have this much protein with each meal. And we'll talk about what sources they want to get it from, or this much fat, or, so we kind of go skill by skill. But the appeal of the prescriptive approach or the meal plan is people are like, I don't want to think. I
Yeah.
don't want to think. And sometimes it's because they're very busy and they have a lot of demands on them. They're the CEO of a company, or they just don't want to make any more decisions related to food because they're so occupied on their other demands. Other times it can happen because somebody is low confidence that they'll make the right decision, with some air quotes there, because we know there's no right decision, but people are worried they'll screw it up. They feel like, obviously, I am screwing this up. Somebody else take the wheel. Just somebody else tell me what to eat, and then I won't screw up. Unfortunately, that it just doesn't work for the reasons I mentioned before, and the idea that while we want to give up control and have somebody else take responsibility, we also crave control. And so, as soon as somebody else mandates what to eat, we want to push back and tell them what we want to eat or change it. Um, so hopefully that answered your question about the meal plan approach. If there's something that, if somebody really feels, who's listening, like, but I really want a meal plan, I'd say look up some recipes that you enjoy and plan them and make a grocery list. And that's probably a really good step for success.
Yeah, so two more points on that.
Okay.
You could apply what you just said basically to a diet for many of the same reasons, right? It takes away choice for the most part,
Yeah.
or a lot of the choice. And it's just not, you can't use it in a lot of situations. Like a meal plan in a lot of social situations won't work.
Totally. Yeah. So you find yourself at a steakhouse and your meal plan says sesame chicken and rice. And you're like, I don't
Yeah.
think they have that on the menu. Now what do I do? So the flexibility, like the flexible template means you look at the menu and you go, okay, I want something with some protein, something with some carbs, something with some vegetables. And I know about how much total size I want. So you can take it on vacation. It travels well.
And one of the other things that you really resonated with me that you taught me was around the low confidence thing and the fear that people are going to make a poor decision, was getting them to think about other decisions that they've made in their life and really let them prove to themselves that they are a good decision maker.
Yeah.
And so with the context of giving them some guardrails to make decisions within, they really are a good decision maker within their
Yeah.
own.
There's no wrong decision between like exact food options here or there. It's just general principles. And I tell them like, I'm going to teach you the important stuff. This is preference stuff. It's fine, whichever way you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. One of the things that you also said to me that is helpful is about like being able to make decisions that you feel good about and feel comfortable with, and feeling the power and the sense of success when you do make a good decision, and you don't want to take that away from someone.
Yeah, I think there is something really powerful in that.
Yeah.
Thinking like I can decide what to eat. I can stick to my intentions. I can do this.
Yeah. Cool. Let's move on to this idea of effort,
Okay.
and two parts to this level of effort. One, from a coaching standpoint, how do you determine how to challenge? What is the appropriate challenge level, and how much effort do you ask them to put in? So that's the sort of part one. And then from the client side of things, how can they determine how much effort they're putting in and whether it's the appropriate amount of effort? So not so much that they're just making excuses and not putting in any effort, but also not being on the other end of the extreme and thinking they're putting in too much effort and white knuckling it and trying to follow all the rules.
Right. Yeah, that's an awesome question. As coaches, it's similar to like how much weight do I put on the bar? Depends on the client.
Mm.
So some clients can lift a lot, and so you can load them up a little heavier. And some clients aren't ready to handle that much load, and so you hit them a little lighter. So in terms of the challenge level, um, with a new client, you have to ask a lot of questions like, how do you feel when I talk about the idea of being hungry before meals? Does that freak you out? Does it seem like no big deal? So you have to do a lot of communicating and listening for your client to get those little bits of talk about they're freaked out by this level of challenge, or like it's in the bag. That sounds good. A lot of coaches will use a 1 to 10 confidence scale. If you're having a hard time getting a read on a client, especially if it's over the phone and you can't see them, you could say like, okay, so I have this idea that I want to work on. If we state it this way, how do you feel on a scale of 1 to 10 that you can pull it off this week? 0 is there's snowball's chance in hell. 10 is it's in the bag. I could do it with my eyes closed, and see what they say. And so that will help you get it right. As a coach, I try and aim for something that is not so easy that it's boring and not so hard that it's frightening.
Mm.
So we want a pleasant level of challenge, similar to how hard you'd want a game to be. Like, it wouldn't be any fun if you were like, nobody shooting at you in the video game. You just walk in and get the prize. Like so something that's got some challenge to it, but that they feel equipped and ready to handle.
Yeah.
So that
You want to
comes
have some
from
confidence that you can win the game. You don't want
yeah,
to go into the game knowing you're going to lose every time.
yeah, or at least make some progress.
Yeah.
So, um, so that's kind of like from the coaching side. Also, you want to take into account what's going on in the person's life. So if you don't know, ask. Like, do you have the time to put into this the way that we've talked about doing it? Or is this week just one that's like you're really slammed with work and you might not have that much bandwidth or, we have finite mental and time resources to put in and see what the person says. Um, and on the professional side, I think one more thing to point out is that the level of effort can change day to day. Some days we're just more harried than other days. And so the way that we execute a habit might be to a greater degree on some days. And some days we're like plan B. Like I didn't
Yeah.
get the 7 hours of sleep, but I got 6.5, which was, the best I could do under those circumstances. So on the client side, when it comes to figuring out how hard we're trying, I think that's a great question to ask because often we're not asking ourselves that sort of question. We kind of focus on, am I doing or not doing? Am
Yeah.
I am I achieving? Am I not achieving? And sometimes we forget to tune in and go like, how hard am I working here? Um, so when I ask clients that, there's no right or wrong answer. Always something interesting comes up. Sometimes they'll say that they'll confess like, I didn't even try that hard. And that's an interesting conversation. Like, okay, so something was in the way of you trying hard, because if you still want this goal and you're really not trying hard, something big is in the way. Maybe it's fear, maybe it's self-sabotage. It's always going to be a good talk. Now, if somebody's not succeeding and they're like, I'm trying like 9 and 10 out of 10 every day, first I'm going to give them specific positive feedback of like, if you're putting in 9 and 10 little effort day after day, kudos to you for not quitting, because that is a lot of strain. Let's figure out what we need to get out of your way, or what tool we need to give you, or have we chosen something that's just too hard? Um, so we kind of figure that out. There's also the chance if somebody's putting forth a very high effort level that they're not putting it in the right place. So as a coach, we want to make sure we're leveraging their effort like right onto the lever that we want them to pull. And sometimes people will say, I'm spending so much energy on my eating, but throughout the conversation, you realize they're trying so hard to eat organic and avoid gluten and
Mhm.
do all these things that are not part of what you're trying to get them to work on, that you need to say, hey, this is a distraction and it's sucking away a lot of your effort. I think you can make your life easier and have more effect if you put your effort just on this one pedal here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that's one of what I wanted to say in your answer to the last question that it escaped my brain. That's one of the other most important things that you conveyed to me. Like one of the most important jobs as a coach is to help the client direct their effort in the most important places that is going to lead to the biggest result. Sort of
Totally.
again setting up guardrails so that your effort is going to lead to the change that you want instead of wasting the energy on things that won't really matter or move you in the direction you want to go.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's natural for a lot of us if we're, just generally trying to eat well and be good people. It's like we're putting our efforts in so many different directions, all of these roles. And so, at least when it comes to eating, rather than trying to do 15 things, the benefit of having a coach is they're like, no, I really want to help you with this one skill. Let's stay on it until you improve it. And so your effort doesn't get like spread out in all directions.
Awesome. You nailed it.
Awesome. Thanks for the chat. See you
For
next
sure.
week.
Okay.